I want to thank you for being here with us this morning or today. We have just a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and then we uh, go into what we call the season of Christmas. I want us to think for just a little while on this idea this morning. We become so overwhelmed and so busy. I know there are many who have already put up their Christmas lights, and they've already done all the things they would do. And sometimes I miss the real anticipation of waiting just a little while. But we have acquired this thought of we have to do all of these things. We have to put up the lights. We have to have huge meals. And don't get me wrong, because become the 27th, I'll have, come Thanksgiving, I'll have 25, 27 people at my house. But we get so involved with all of these things, and then all of a sudden Christmas hits, and there's so many things to do. There's so many parties. There's so many thoughts and ideas, and the shopping, and all of these things that go on with this period of time that we call this season Christmas, or this season of Thanksgiving, or all of it wrapped together. We have so many things to accomplish. Everybody seems to be in a hurry. Everyone is busy. Everyone is consumed with self and ideas that they have. I want to ask us to consider something this morning. Consider, consider yourself and how busy you think you are. But I want us to consider this particular passage of scripture in Hebrews, the 13th chapter. He starts in these things and he talks about certain things. I want to start in verse 1 of chapter 13. He said, "Let brotherly love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Remember those who are in prison, as though in prison with them, and those who are mistreated, since you are in one, since you also are in the body. Let marriage be held in honor among all, and let marriage bed be undefiled, for God will judge the sexually immoral and the adulterous. Keep your life free from money and be content with all that you have." If you ever think about all of those things, we have a tendency to fall to many different things during this time of year when we are so busy and things are so wrapped up. I want you to listen to what he says at the end of this passage. He said, "For he has said, God has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." So we can confidently say, "The Lord is my helper. I will not fear what man can do to me." This idea that God has offered us this promise and says that I am always there, I am faithful, I am there when you need that help. I'm with you continually. And in all of these things that we are doing, we need to step back and take the time. Take the time to live our lives as a child of God should live his life. Taking care of all of these other things that are far more important than this celebration that we put forth and we involve ourselves in so strictly and so overwhelmingly. We go back to the Old Testament. Once again, we're told to remember, or we come out with this knowledge of remember God. You see, this is what he's saying. I will never forsake you. Remember me. In Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, starting at verse 10, he says, "In the Lord, and when the Lord your God brings you to into the land that he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to give you, with great cities, good cities, that you did not build, and houses full of good things that you did not feed, that you did not fill, and cisterns that you did not dig, and vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. Or when you eat and are full, then take care lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Now he's talking to the Israelites. But we as children of God, we need to pay heed to this one thought, this idea. He says, take care lest you forget the Lord. But take care lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of sin. Take care lest you forget the Lord who has brought you out of the world. Oh yes, we have those things to enjoy, and we have that time to do it in. But let's don't do it at the sacrifice of forgetting God. And so often we do. We become so involved, we forget what God has given us, how God has cared for us, how He has supplied for us, how He has brought us out of this worldly situation of sin and gave us forgiveness. If we turn over to Psalms, the 103rd chapter, we'll read the first 5 verses. He said, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit, who crowns you with steadfast love and mercy, who satisfies you with good so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. As we approach this holiday season and all the hustle and bustle and all of the things that we have to do, always cutting, always having to have enough time for this or for that or for something else. Help us to be very aware that we're not cutting our time short with God. That we might give ourselves over to Him, that we might remember those things that He's done for us, that we might realize His faithfulness, His willingness to be there at all times. So often we go about our business thinking everything is good, and we only approach God when things become difficult. Help us help us to look and see ourselves and remember these things that God does. Help us to be encouraged to not cut our time with God short. He is what really matters. That life He gives us is what real life is, not all of these things, the hustle and bustle of the holidays and the gifts and all of the food and all the things that are so overwhelmingly over the top in our society. Start looking and seeing who might need you to help them instead of looking at all the things you're going to receive that you might have this holiday. Start looking and seeking to walk as Christ walked and do those things that God would really have us to do. And remember not to cut our time short with Him. I want to thank you for being here, and may God bless.